From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Welcome back to Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Little, and during our commercial break, I will let you know, we've kind of been nerding out a little bit about infrastructure and transportation and how all of our worlds collide here on trying to get people from A to B, so we just had to come back so we could actually just have this conversation as part of the actual show. And those who follow me know that I drive a school bus and own a school bus company. And so getting people from A to B is literally what I do. And getting them across busy streets is a very difficult thing here in Indianapolis. We have a lot of wide streets. I was sharing here with Jeffrey and Addison, who are back with us, that part of my bus route that I actually drove this morning, I have to figure out how to get kids dropped off or picked up without having them cross busy streets like 38th Street, which is in some parts 2 lanes on one side, 2 lanes on the other, a turning lane in the middle. And technically, I could put my stop arm out legally. That kid could cross the street. But is that a good idea? No. So it takes a lot of rerouting and trying to find other streets to cut through to turn around, because I can't turn a bus around in the middle of 38th Street. But finding a way that I can get to the same side of the street so that child doesn't have to cross a very busy street. All of that is relative to our conversation about street calming and why the city is making efforts to calm streets down, to use them in more of a multimodal way so that cars can use it, so that an Indigo bus has its own lane, so that bicyclists have their own lane. It's all the same thing. I'm trying to calm everything down and make it easier to drive on, but also allowing people to cross. So as we talk, Jeffrey, about tactical urbanism, that's how I'm involved in it, or how I work through it. But elaborate for me, if you will, on why we are seeing this across the city, from one-way roads being turned into 2, and then even things like you guys are doing on 10th Street. So many different ways to get to where we're trying to go.
So I'll start with saying that mobility is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity is access through mobility. So when we improve mobility, we improve outcomes, whether that's socially, economically, across the board. Mobility is opportunity and freedom. So when we improve the way that we can get around, we improve outcomes for individuals. And I think that you're seeing this impetus by the city, rightly so, to make sure that there's a more egalitarian idea behind transportation. And when we see things like the 2-way conversions, or the blue line BRT that's going to be under construction, or the red line, purple line, bus and bike lanes, tactical urbanism, the idea is that we're improving mobility because that improves outcomes for citizens. And so that's an investment. And it shouldn't matter what mode of transportation you're using, whether that's a car, which most people use, with your legs, which most people use, or a bike or a bus. All of those modes of transportation are valid because they're access to opportunity. And so therefore, I believe in a clean slate. Those are all weighted equally, because many individuals drive, they're forced to drive. Many people use the bus because they choose to or they're forced to. Many people choose to bike or walk, but we're all just trying to get around and live our lives. And so when we think about transportation, whether that's tactical urbanism and Chatham Arch on 10th and Broadway and 10th and Park, we're actually just as mindful of the drivers as we are the walkers and the bikers. Because if you go there before, people would park right to the end of the street. And actually in Indiana code, it's illegal to park within 30 feet of a stop sign. And there's a reason for that.
Because you block it.
Because you block the sight line. And so we'd have people like peek their nose out of their car, and someone's flying by going 35. So that's an issue. And then you have someone peeking out because people have parked all the way to the end of the stop sign. So then you have more incidents of automobile danger. So we're thinking about motorists when we bump these out, create larger sight triangles, and improve safety. Because guess what? mobility is opportunity. So by improving those outcomes, we just improve quality of life, which really works well with the mission of ARP, especially for our older residents, uh, making sure that they can age in place and have that quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah, getting around the community, we believe that that should not be dictated by your ability to drive a car or your access to a car. We believe in those multimodal options, and we believe in making sure that they're safe for everyone. So that's why this project really resonated with us. We're longtime advocates for, transportation options like Indigo, making sure that, pedestrian safety is key, bike safety is key. That we've seen a real changeover in our city, over in the city of Indianapolis, over the past, 10, 15 years, of just all these new transportation options and infrastructure popping up. And we want to see more of it because it's a shared space. The road, the streets, is shared space. And we really need to be looking out for one another when we're using that shared space. So that's why, these low cost, no cost projects are really great, because they're providing that they're addressing that immediate need, but they're also proving that, we can put more resources into this and make it permanent.
You guys were recently doing some canvassing, if you will, or out on the streets with Indigo.
Yeah.
We love Indigo. What were you guys doing there? Because you're trying to spread that message about public transportation as well.
Absolutely. So most recently this week, we were doing a travel training with Indigo. So getting ARP members and non-members on the bus, and just giving them that lived experience of, like, this is how you tap your card. Like, this is how you pull the line to get off the bus. And it's amazing what you see when you're out on the street. Just the same if you do like a walk audit and you're documenting, how to improve the walkability of your community. When you get out on the street and you're walking those sidewalks and you see, the gravel on the sidewalks, broken glass, whatever it may be, it really opens your eyes as to, like, wow, like, we really have some work to do, you know what I mean? And safe crossings and things like that. So we encountered a little bit of that when we were riding up and down Washington Street. We got on over by Willard Park, took the bus down to the Julie Carson Transit Center. Toward that, we got some discounted fare for some of our older residents, which was awesome. And then we got back on the bus, went to Ash and Elm, and actually had like a little cider tasting and talked about transit advocacy that we've been engaged in over the years. So it was a really fun experience. And a few weeks before that, we were doing Pacers bike share tutorial with the cultural trail. So we're really trying to highlight that, I think there's emphasis on, like, transportation options, and, like, I want that in my community. You already have it a lot of the time, and you just have to look for it, and you have to kind of check it out and, reorient your lifestyle so that you can use these assets.
Side note, you said cider and made me realize that,
That sounds
hey,
good.
it does sound good
Yeah.
right now. It's going to be that time. It's starting to cool off. It'll be
Bonfires.
Yes, it'll be. I love the fall because it's the easiest. You just grab a hoodie and you throw it on.
Oh, yeah.
You have some cider. It's a good time, and then won't be long before we're drinking eggnog. So just lets us know that it is that time of year. Which also kind of comes back into play. Transportation is a year-round situation. Um, which earlier in the other half, you talked about how some of these tactical urbanism projects will look different in the wintertime. There's a very simple reason for that, but people may not think of that. Why will these projects look different in the wintertime?
So it's a couple things there. One, we get snowy and icy conditions. But secondly, those elements are already kind of traffic calming. So when
you would hope.
You would hope so. Let's not pretend that people are going to be reckless no matter what. But
Right.
it's interesting when you have a big snowstorm and you go and walk down your street, you'll see that only a certain amount of space is actually used by the car tires.
Yes.
And so there's all this leftover space. And so what I try to challenge folks to do is think about all of that leftover space as possibility. And so, of course, there's things like snow plows that would make it hard, because once something's covered by snow, it's very easy for that to get swept up.
Right.
But there's another side of that, even bike lanes, like the new ones on New York and Michigan, that's actually kind of a good thing because even if people can't bike it because it's so snowy and icy, it's a good overflow for some of that extra snow. And so you're actually thinking about these streets year round, even though, we think about it more seasonal. It's not. Transportation is year round. So I think that's the concern around that is, the snow plows and the icy, snowy conditions.
Um, Now we've been talking about this in a way that is positive, and we're trying to save lives, and this is great, and it's pretty and all that. But there are people who are like, this is stupid. I can't speed down 38th Street. I get both a kick and slightly irritated when I'm driving my bus down 38th Street, and someone yesterday flew down the bus lane in their car and was like, just forget this bus thing, and they're driving over the divider. Um, Traffic overall, I think, still flows pretty well on 38th Street. Can you speed down it like you used to? No, but it still does flow. That said, what do you say to people who are like, your project is making it difficult for me to get to A and B? This road should be wide open. Why take a big thoroughfare and narrow it down like this? How do you respond to those people?
I always start from a position that most people are reasonable. And most people, these are valid concerns. I'm not going to look at somebody and say, hey, look, your opinion is invalid because you feel this way. That's just not a way that we should approach these things.
It's very diplomatic of you.
It's not just diplomatic, it's very human. We talked a lot about coalition building and all this stuff. We cannot have consensus if we just say, hey, I'm not going to listen to you because you have this belief. And it's very easy as me as an urban strategist, somebody who goes around the country thinking about solutions, to just totally ignore that concern. So that's valid, right? Now, what is actually the problem though? If their concern is I can't get somewhere as fast as I need to, that's a mobility concern. Because like we said earlier, mobility equals freedom. So let's analyze that then, because that's an actual point. Is it actually taking you longer to get to your destinations, or do you feel like it is?
Right.
Because that's a different conversation. And I would second this. Has this made it easier for your fellow people to get around in some way? Because if the answer to either of those questions is yes, you might need to rethink your premises. And so I would challenge folks to outthink the car, because cars are naturally sociopathic devices. We're all fighting for shared pavement that there's only so much of. So when we're one against each other in a car, you're eliminated from the actual human speed that life moves at. And so I challenge folks to think about, okay, the folks that can't afford the $20,000 a year to maintain and operate a car in Indianapolis, and maybe are required to use a bike or a bus, or maybe they choose to. Is the roadway working for them just as well? Do they have access to that freedom, or is it just you? Because if the answer to that question is yes, then you need to take a look and think about who you are as a person.
So we've had those people. Some of them are
Don't call them
even
those people. That sounds bad.
yes.
They're just people.
We have had people who are against that. This one and who actively say, "Hey, I don't want to make it easier for the bus to go down this street, or for bikers to have their own lane for bicycles." Um, One of my actual biggest pet peeves, um, or things that irritate me about our great city of Indianapolis is, um, this used to be, we have the original Union Station here. Um,
The first one.
yes. And it's currently a hotel. And we had, we still have rails that are coming up from the pavement from when trains and trolley cars used to run the streets of Indianapolis. Um, and we've erased all of that. We are the Circle City. We have interstates that take you all over the place. But somewhere along the lines, we decided that cars were going to be the only way to get from point A to point B. And so I am wondering about um, how we shape up with the rest of the country. because we want to do things like host the Olympics and host Super Bowls and do all these other things where other cities you go to, you don't have to drive everywhere you go. Um, I've actually one day I was leaving from my dad's house in Michigan City, Indiana, and I wanted to see if I could get back to my apartment in Phoenix, Arizona, using only public transportation.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And I did. I took the South Shore train, which runs through our hometown of Michigan City, to Chicago. Got off down at Millennium Station, hopped on the train. Is that the Orange Line that takes you
Midway?
to Midway?
Yep.
Midway flew to uh, um, Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, which people forget airplanes are a form of public transportation. And then took the Sky Train from the airport to the Phoenix light rail line, which stops right in front of my apartment.
Very cool. Love it.
And I was like, okay, this was cool.
Yeah.
No, the only time I was in a car was in the 3 blocks or so that my dad drove me from his house to the train station. And then the train station stop in Phoenix is right in front of my apartment. So I walked in. I want to know what other cities, to me, or let me rephrase. Do other people want that? Because when I try to explain that to people in Indianapolis, people are like, yeah, it's easier to drive.
I get that. And, I'll start with this. There's nothing wrong with cars. I love cars.
Mhm.
Cars are awesome. They go vroom and they're fast. But my anniversary, my partner and I, our anniversary, it's Indy 500.
Oh,
I
cool.
love watching cars go fast.
Mhm.
I just don't want to be mowed down by them when I'm walking to work. And so cars are a mobility option. They
Mhm.
equal freedom because mobility equals freedom. I just don't want that to be prioritized over the other ones. They should be all things considered equal. And so to answer the question, not for everyone a car is possible.
Right.
We have vulnerable folks that are older. We have people that are under the age of 18. We have people that have disabilities like blindness. We have folks that physically cannot use a car. So when we build an infrastructure system around one form of transportation over the other ones, we're saying you people do not matter because we have not thought about what you need. And I don't believe that a city is for everyone unless you're building for everyone. And so when we say our most vulnerable residents, our elderly residents that maybe can't walk well or drive a car, or our disabled folks that can't maybe access a vehicle, if we built our whole city around that, we're saying that you don't have that freedom that others do. And so Indianapolis has done a lot of right things to make sure that multi-mobility is a priority. The cultural trail is a wonderful amenity that other cities don't have. And frankly, cities from around the world send delegates here to look at what we've done with the cultural trail. So, I mean, that's a really good step. We have a lot of last mile problems in Indianapolis. We've built out this BRT line. We've built out a great greenway system, the Monon, the Pleasant Run, B&O Trail on the west side. Great. But connecting those things, you have these critical links that are kind of missing. So it isn't so easy yet to just rely on those things. I think furthering the expansion of things like Pacer's Bike Share, furthering the links and the nodes of the cultural trail to these outlying areas, we don't have to be this scary, what people say, the Agenda 2030, 15-minute city, which is so terrifying to people. It's just having the freedom to be able to move as you choose. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a car. It could be.
What was that term?
So yeah, it's a lot of folks, they think that when the planners say the Agenda 2030, it's a United Nations report, and it says, we should prioritize different forms of transportation so we have freedom. And somehow that's become construed as they're going to force us in 15-minute cities, they're going to take us and make us do all this bad stuff. And it's a real crazy conflation because all we're saying is that you should have more mobility options than just a car that's going to cost you a lot of money. And there shouldn't be fear around place. We should lead with hope and opportunity. And again, mobility is freedom. So how do we increase it? That's how we increase freedom.
And I'm glad to hear that people do come to Indianapolis to see how we do things. And as much as people are excited about that Monon Trail, I will say that should have been a train. It was supposed to be a train, but I guess I'll just have to get over that.
Trains are banned.
Yes,
Light rail trains, at least.
Light rail
That's
trains
true.
are banned. But then I was like, so suppose I did like a heavy rail, like South Shore train line, like could have done that. But that's a whole nother.
Still build over it.
True.
It's rail banked.
But I guess I guess that'll be a whole nother topic.
Next time.
Yes, because that every time I go past that, I look at what could have been, and also that you could have put a train and a path there. Like there were options.
Charlotte's done that very well. Miami's done the underline, which is like underneath their train tracks, and they just build right over it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, maybe the possibility's still there. Maybe the Indy of 2050 does have that. I don't think we should. This gets in my big critique of Indianapolis. We have such this homerism that if you critique any part of it, then you're bad because we fight above our weight.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we. It's like Chicago, man. Make no small plans, and they just push ahead. They reverse the river and all this stuff. Indianapolis, it's like this natural, just like, oh shucks, we can't do that because it's Indianapolis. No, 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 no. We fight, and we're Hoosiers, and we're proud, and we're nice, but we can actually do great things. We have the Indy 500 for crying out loud. We can do great things here.
Well, I'm on that we agree that there is this we can't a lot of times.
Yeah.
That seems to be the first answer. Oh, we can't do that. And one of the things that I try to educate people on, they say, well, we're not Chicago. We're not one of these big cities. And I say, hang on, hang on. First of all, in population, we're 12th in the country, whatever the last numbers are. But even more important than that is the size of this city. Other cities are not this big in land.
Mm-hmm.
People do not understand that when you go to if you're at Ben Davis on the west side and you're at Warren Central, you are in the same city here in Indianapolis. So if you go to other cities, those are different cities by them.
Right.
A big city like Atlanta is like the size of Center Township in Indianapolis.
Right.
It's very small, and so that's part of the other argument of my response. People say we can't is that but we're bigger than those cities, and you to also just think about you not being able to get around your own city, like a person who lives at Stop 11 Road and Meridian Street lives in the same city as someone who lives here where we are on the northwest side at 71st Street, and you can't get across your own city. We're not talking about going into a suburb or to a neighboring county. You can't get across the city you live in and stay on the city limits unless you have a car.
Well, actually, I can get back from here to downtown. I have an hour and 20 bus ride.
Wow.
So I'm not saying that in any of these conversations, it should just be as easy.
Yeah.
We're not saying, no, cars great.
Mm-hmm.
Most people have them. I love cars. But it should be so much easier to drive a car than to take the bus home.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, let's make them all equal, because then people have options. Options equal freedom. Mobility is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't take an hour and 20 minutes.
It shouldn't. I'm glad that there are people who are continuing to spread the message, to provide the data. Oftentimes, people there is such thing as being loud and wrong, and on both sides.
I've been there.
And I, one of my other favorite arguments is when people talk about, hey, the bus line is. I never see anybody on the bus, and it's like, like everything, a bus has peak times, and I don't see a whole lot of people driving on the interstate at 1 a.m., but we still have it and we all still pay for it.
And to that point, I mean, that is an argument you hear a lot. The thing about a bus, though, is that people are getting on, getting off
Correct.
throughout that entire route.
Correct.
So, the bus, I encourage anyone who hasn't ridden Indigo to get on a bus.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to the travel training point earlier, it's an entirely different experience.
Mm-hmm.
I used to take the bus to work every day before I had some life changes. And when I was on the bus earlier this week, I was like, I miss this.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved just the vibrancy, the feeling of we are a big city.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You get off downtown, you're like, let's go.
Yeah.
We are a big city. And we just need to kind of, again, reorient our thinking about, what we can use as a way to get around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the BRT lines are a great start. We were at the State Fair a couple weeks ago, and the new Purple Line on 38th Street, it was great. We got out of the fair at like 8:30. I stand at the Purple Line, wait a couple minutes. Took 21 minutes to get home, and that beat both the car because the traffic's crazy getting out of the State Fair, and we have e-bikes that even beat that. And it was nice. They got the signal priority really well. It felt like we were kind of on a train, but it was actually a bus. They did a good job with it.
Well, and my other, I've written the red line from both sides. I still have to do the purple line, the extension from the red line over into Lawrence. Um, and the following comment is, it may be too in the weeds, but people who are into transportation and tactical urbanism would understand. Well, the other thing I explain to people about the bus in Indianapolis is when I hear people say, it's always empty when I see it. Well, but it's always full in Chicago. There's also a reason for that. In Chicago, the bus comes from the outside and moves toward downtown. Downtown is at the end. So as it's coming from the suburbs, it's continually picking up people, and everybody gets off at the end, just the way the city is built. Our downtown is in the middle. So on both ends, it should be empty because it's going from, like the red line would come from the south side in the suburbs. It's going to build and build and build till it gets downtown, and everybody's going to get off.
Right.
And then it's going to leave downtown empty or full, and it's going to work its way back the other way to the north side, and it's going to get empty and empty and empty. But people don't understand the differences. But
also, I don't think that many folks have ridden the bus.
correct.
You know, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, I think that everyone could learn a little bit, a little humanizing, to ride the bus. You know, and here's another thing: you're driving on the interstate. How many people are driving alone?
Correct.
Yeah,
You know?
true.
How many people are driving alone? And so, is that the most efficient use of space? I don't know. You can fit 100 people on a bus. You can fit what, 4 in a car? Maybe 6, 7. You got a big guy. So it's not just thinking about this as the bus is inherently bad, but it is a more efficient form of transportation if you need citizens, if you have citizens that need to get around, right? And there should be nothing wrong with that.
And just really quickly, you know, at AARP, we emphasize options, right? Because I think everyone should emphasize options. You know, if you've ever had your car's in the shop, I mean, how do you get around? You're either asking for a ride, you're biking, you're using rideshare, or you're getting on the bus. I mean, we need these options. It's just another tool for us to, you know, have that freedom, access our community, get to healthcare, get to the grocery store, get to school, get to work. That's all we're asking for. And I think that we just need to continue to have these conversations and keep plowing forward.
Well, gentlemen, we're about out of time, but Addison, how can people, if they've got another neighborhood project and they say, "Oh, how did Chatham March do that?" How can they get your guys' attention?
Absolutely. So this is the AARP Community Challenge Grant is an annual grant program. So you can go to aarp.org/community challenge. It kicks off in January, the grant application period. That closes in March. Grants are announced in June, and then you have to complete your project by December, as Jeffrey and his group are doing. So aarp.org/community challenge.
All right. And Jeffrey, what about people who can get in contact with you and your various hats that you wear?
You know, so I started my company Proformis, and we're very much about a nimble, place-based approach to building cities, building neighborhoods, from the parcel to the district to the region. So I implore anyone, if you want to get in touch, reach out to me at proformis.com or jeffreytompkins.com.
All right. Good conversation. I think we also need to we definitely need to continue this conversation.
Next time.
Yes, because we are out of time. But we've even been talking about in the school bus world. You know, I've mentioned earlier about having to cross a busy street, and we also have not figured out how to cross people in tactical urbanism areas as well, like on the along the BRT lines. Because technically, are you allowed to cross, and how do we use the crosswalks? There's worlds where everybody needs to continue the conversation to understand how things work, and I think it's not just at a 50,000-foot level of what is this, but okay, even once you understand it, how can it all work together and we all benefit? So definitely need to continue this conversation, which I thoroughly enjoyed, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you have to come back. Come back. We'll talk some more.
Got it.
I'll come back.
All right.
Please.
All right.
Nice talking, Cameron.
It's
Thanks,
been good talking to you guys as well. That's going to do it for this edition of Fox 59 tonight. We're back every night at 8 o'clock on the Fox 59 streaming app and online all the time on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and I'll talk to you Sunday mornings on my radio show Open Lines on 106.7 WTLC and Hot 100.9, where you also get to be part of the conversation. For now, that's going to do it for this edition of Fox 59 Tonight. Good night.